When my husband said he hoped my cancer treatment wouldn't work, I smiled and agreed. I was lying on the couch after my second round of chemo when I heard my husband in the garage on the phone with someone. I almost tuned it out until I heard him say, "the policy," and "as long as she stays on her current treatment plan, we're golden." My heart started pounding so loud I was scared he'd hear it from the garage, but I pretended I didn't hear anything. That night I waited until he fell asleep and grabbed his MacBook because I needed to know what was going on. His texts synced to his laptop and I found a whole thread with his brother that made me feel like I was going to pass out. He had increased my life insurance from $100,000 to $750,000 a week before my official diagnosis. I had to put my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming because suddenly I understood why he kept pushing me to go get tested when I first felt sick and why he seemed almost excited when the doctors wanted more tests. As I kept reading the messages, it felt like I was reading messages from a stranger who wanted me dead. One said, "The timing is lining up perfectly. I just gotta be patient and let nature do the hard work for me." Another one said, "The 5-year survival rate is 34%. I just gotta keep her away from that specialist downtown and run out the clock." The next morning, I drove to my insurance company's fraud department with screenshots, and we spent 2 weeks building a case while my husband kept bringing me soup and telling me he couldn't imagine life without me. Once I heard him on the phone saying, "The hardest part is pretending to be sad all the time, but at least she's so doped up she doesn't notice anything." I could literally be measuring her for a coffin and she'd thank me for being prepared. The worst night was when he sat on our bed and said, "I just want you to know that whatever happens, I'm protected financially, so don't worry about that." I told him that was sweet, and he stroked my hair. "Honestly, babe, you look terrible. You're actually hard to look at, but I'm still here, aren't I?" He laughed like it was a joke, and I laughed too, even though I wanted to strangle him right there. The next morning, I told him I wanted to talk about my treatment, and he sat down across from me with his concerned husband face on. I said the doctors told me the chemo wasn't working as well as they hoped, and I watched his eyes light up before he could stop himself. He squeezed my hand. "Baby, I'm so sorry, but honestly, maybe this is a sign that you should stop fighting it." I asked him what he meant, and he leaned in close and said, "I just think maybe it would be easier for everyone if the treatment didn't work, you know? You wouldn't have to suffer anymore." I looked him right in his eyes, smiled, and told him I agreed. His face got all confused for a second before the doorbell rang. He opened the door to Detective Hodges and 2 police officers holding a warrant for his arrest on charges of insurance fraud and conspiracy. He spun around, grabbed my arm, and screamed, "What the hell did you do?" I yanked my arm back and told him I did exactly what he taught me, which was to plan ahead. The officers pulled his hands behind his back while he screamed that I was crazy and the cancer had rotted my brain. "You were supposed to be too sick to figure this out," he yelled while they dragged him to the squad car. "I did everything right. I brought you soup, I held your hand, I even told you that you looked beautiful when you obviously didn't." Detective Hodges actually laughed and said that was probably the dumbest thing he could have said in front of witnesses. My husband's face pressed against the window as the car started pulling away, and he screamed, "You're worth more to me dead than alive, you hear me? I hope you rot in the ground." I stood on the porch and watched until the squad car turned the corner, and I swear I felt better than I had in months.